I think we've thrown them through a loop because we're on and there's nobody in the chat. So
I know.
Oh,
We're going to have to do a
Rita's
large
not there. We've even
crowd.
beat Rita.
oh, we've got nobody there.
Oh, hang on. There's one there. It might be Rita. I'm thinking it's probably Rita.
No,
It's
that's
going to
me.
be Rita.
Oh, is it you?
or,
Are you in the chat? Oh, you're in the chat. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm trying to share it out.
Fair enough. Well, that's all right. We've got a couple of minutes. We can talk about any old rubbish for the start with, can't we, till people come on.
yeah.
How's your week been, boys? How's your week been, Tim?
Good.
Yeah, good. I've got some new spiders.
I saw. Beautiful.
Um,
Beautiful.
I've been out today. I've been out walking about looking for wasp spiders. I don't know how much you know about spiders, Dan, but a wasp spider.
Yeah. Where were you? Where were you? Where'd you go?
Well, just local,
Just local.
but they've only been in the country. I don't know, 10 years or so.
Oh, they're quite a
Well,
new.
Yeah, they obviously come across with global warming. I thought I'd like to find one of these things, but I didn't manage to find one. Well, I shall keep looking.
It's fun looking, though, isn't it?
No, I shall keep looking till I find one. I love these spiders,
The
mate.
fun is in the oh, they're beautiful animals.
Mm.
Beautiful animals. I used to always say to kids, like when I used to do talks and stuff with the wildlife, like at my zoo when I was working in zoos now, and I would say the thing about spiders, they're ugly, they're horrible. I said, no. If you look at them, I said, I look at a spider, I said, and it reminds me of a cathedral, a beautiful cathedral. You've got the legs, which are like the buttresses, and they all come over and they hold the canopy on, you know?
Yeah.
And I said, you know, and you've got the abdomen at the back. It's just stunning creatures. And if you look at it like that, they're phenomenal. They're amazing animals.
Mm.
They really, really are. Hi, you Rita.
Yeah.
Oh, so we've got
Rita's there.
3 in. Who else is in the chat? Say hello to us in the chat, and then we might
Come on, say hello.
Story.
And then we can get on with. I'll tell you,
the tale.
This subject, Dan, you've picked up. I never heard of it. And
I've learned some things about it since I've been looking into it. There's elements to it that I've learned that actually make quite good sense, and I would never have given them a thought. And interestingly enough, it kind of the story itself, if you think about it, or you look at the allegories of it, it goes back to it's kind of a representation of pagan, something to do with paganism. And I'll explain it a little bit later, but it's very, very interesting in the seasons.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's 3 of us here, so we'll start. So tonight's subject, we're going to go to Suffolk, and we're going to go to Suffolk, 12th century Suffolk, in the reign of good King Stephen. And a story, a fable, might be fact, we don't know, because obviously there's not a lot of paperwork or records that hail back to that time. Don't agree, like the Hulk. I split my trousers and split my shirt when that was what I'll do, Rita. So anyway, it goes back to that time, to that period. And the story begins with 2 children that are found just wandering in the village of Woolpit. Now, it's called Woolpit now. That's a derivation of the name the original name. And the original name was an Anglo-Saxon name. It was Old Anglo-Saxon. And it was Wolf Pit. It meant Wolf Pit because wolves used to live around there in their dens. And anyway, there were some people out hunting one day, and they came across 2 children, a boy and a girl. And the unusual thing about them is that they were green. They had a very, very unusual shade of green. And they couldn't really speak English, and they were speaking a language, but nobody really knew what it was. So what they did, they picked the children up and they brought them back to the village, and the squire or landed gentry there at the time, he took them in. They wouldn't eat anything. They just wouldn't eat a thing. The only thing that when they started to eat, the only thing they would eat were green beans, and they ravaged the green beans that were in the garden, and that's all they would eat. Now, eventually, the girl started to eat other things. She started to eat other items, and she got stronger and she got fit and healthy. Whereas the boy, sadly, he was brokenhearted for whatever reason. He was brokenhearted. Maybe it was because he'd lost his home, or he's lost his family, or whatever. Nobody really knows. But he was brokenhearted, and he passed away. And he passed away through starvation and a broken heart because he wouldn't eat. So the girl, she went on and she grew up to be a young lady, and as I say, the shade on her, the shade of her skin turned from green to a normal color, like the rest of the children in the village. And an interesting point is that children, which I didn't realize, that there's a form of anemia which children get if they're not eating properly, and it can turn the skin pale green. And I didn't know this. And they think that looking back on it, that's what it could have been. It could have been starvation. But anyway, as she got older, she started to integrate. She was always a bit of trouble, apparently, always a wild card. But she started to integrate with the other children and with the people in the village. And she started to speak English. And in speaking English, she divulged this tale. And the tale that she told was an extraordinary one. And she said that she actually came, her and the boy had actually come from a place called St. Martin's. And St. Martin's was in, well, call it what you want, a different dimension. I'm not sure what it is. But what happened was her and her brother, when they were at home, they lived in a land that was continually in twilight. And the twilight itself was green. Everything in the land was green. And they were out on the meadows looking after the cows of her father. And all of a sudden they heard a bell or bells. And they became inquisitive, and they walked over to, I suppose, this cave. And as they walked into the cave, they came out the other end, which they came out of one of the wolf pits at the other end, and they found themselves being blinded by this light, by the sun. They'd never experienced that before, because obviously they come from a land that was bathed in twilight. They panicked and turned around and went to go back to St. Martin's, but the route that they'd taken was now sealed, so they couldn't get back into it. So what they did, they, as I say, they were picked up in a village and they were brought forward. So this is the story she told. Now, looking into it, there's allegories about this story as well. And this is where I get into the paganism bit. And some people think, well, you know what? Maybe this wasn't a true tale. Maybe this was an allegory or representative of the seasons. So people couldn't celebrate the seasons in a pagan way like they used to because of Christianity was there at the point. So the way that they did it, they used the children as an allegory. So she represented autumn, and the son or the brother represented summer. So summer died, so the boy died, and she went forward and she became representative of the harvest. So this is one of the allegories that they put to it. There's lots of different stories and ideas that they've attached to it, but nobody really knows. And as I say, nobody really knows if it's a true story because there's no documentation. But there is plenty of stories and plenty of representations that go back to that period of those two children. Now that's it. That's where it ends up. And she eventually marries. She marries either a knight of the realm or somebody who's got good standing, somebody like a representative of the church, and she goes on to lead a normal, happy life up until her death. And that's when they kind of, after she got married, they kind of lost track of her, so they didn't know what happened to her. So that's the story of the Children of Woolpit. It's quite a small and short story, but the thing that I find most intriguing about it is, if there is any relevance of truth in it, where on earth did they come from? And where is St. Martin's? And it sounds to me like it's a dimensional thing, like they've slipped through a dimension. And it also makes me think a lot of people that today go missing. I mean, you got like the 401s, haven't you, with David Polides, where people go missing in the national parks in North America. Now, we know that they're massive places and people do go missing in national parks. But the way that they go missing is very, very unusual. They can be close to somebody, walk around a corner, and then gone, just disappear. And it makes me wonder if there are, call them what you want, call them portals or just holes in the time fabric that people just slip through. So yeah, so that's where it is. So what do you guys reckon? What do you think? Hi, you Sarah. I'll just hello everybody. Hi, you Lo. Hi, you Jay. Hi, you Maureen. Hi, you Lynn. Hi, you Rita. I said hello, Rita. Hi, you Catherine. Hi, you Sarah. Hi, Nicola.
Going back to, yes, I heard that weird sound. Yeah.
What was that sound?
What was that sound?
You didn't hear it?
No.
Oh God, it was like a strange voice come across the screen.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's really
it's not
weird.
them children from a different dimension, is it? From
I don't know. I don't know, but do you hear it, Eric?
Yeah, I heard it. That's why
Yeah.
she asked me because I looked. I'm like, what was that?
Yeah, we
What was
need
it?
to
What
look
did it
back.
sound like?
Wow,
What?
it's just weird. We'll have to look back at that and replay it.
Yeah.
I
What was I
can't-
talking? What was I talking about at the time?
They're talking
Um,
about the children being green and malnutrition.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's quite
Liz says
strange.
it sounded like a bear.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah. I
Sounded
heard
like a
it.
bear. Yeah, okay. That's what-
Oh, that's interesting. Well, yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, it might have been. It might have been a wolf. I just Tim Smith. Hi,
Hey.
hello, gentlemen. No,
Hey, I love you too, Willow.
there you go.
What's your what here?
I do.
Yeah, sounds like a bear. Or roar.
But what a brilliant story, eh?
It's just amazing. If it's I don't know whether it's a fable or whether there's truth in it.
No.
I mean, it's been sold as fact to a lot of people.
Mm.
It's only recently that it's people are saying, well, it could be allegories for representing the seasons, but obviously they couldn't in the pagan they couldn't in Christianity. They had to be careful because they didn't want to upset the Lord of the land, who obviously you owed everything. It was tied, wasn't it? You were tied to them. So if you upset them by spouting or espousing things like paganism, then they would chuck you off the land and you'd lose everything. You're tied cottage to the lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. It's
Did
interesting.
you see
Exactly.
they only ate
green
broad
beans? Yeah, broad beans. Yeah, and they didn't realise that they didn't know what they ate until they got into the village and somebody was growing these green beans or broad beans in their garden, and they were ravenous for these beans, and that's all they would eat for a time. But obviously, the boy, he carried on eating them. Eventually, he stopped eating because he was broken-hearted. He passed away, but the sister went from strength to strength, which is the
He was younger.
allegory of the seasons.
Does anybody know if they were twins?
I don't think they were twins. No, I think
No.
I think the boy was a bit younger than the girl. I think.
It's a brilliant story, but yeah, they'd only eat the beans, but they didn't know how to open the pods in the beans to start with.
No.
So I don't understand that. And there's a lot of theory that they were Flemish people, wasn't it?
Yeah, they thought they could have been Flemish people, and they were speaking a lot of Flemish, a form of French.
But
and also
Richard,
some people said, well, it could be aliens.
Well, yeah. Green meaning you'd think, but then again, you're talking about further back in history, so they wouldn't know what aliens were back then.
I don't know. There's representations of stone.
I think the alien thing was bigger back then.
Well, do you know what? How would they have known so much about the solar system and about the galaxy?
Well, they did in
having somebody
1935.
tell. I mean, we can't. I mean, you look back. You look at a lot of the history of these people, these ancients, and I think that they were probably technologically more advanced than we are today. A lot of them, but again, society collapses, doesn't it? And everything gets lost. So and I think when you look at them, their technology was such that they were talking about stars in the solar system that we're only just finding out about them today.
That's another
knew that they knew about them, and they're saying, well, this one was hidden. There was one. That's it. There was one recently that they found hidden behind another planet, but these ancient peoples have been talking about it. It's the same thing with the stone circles, isn't it? We kind of know what the stone circles were for, but they were like astrological things, so we don't know what they knew. We don't know what they knew, and you probably couldn't build a representation of Stonehenge half as good with all the modern technology as that one that was there for 5,000 years.
You know what I heard? I heard that Stonehenge was moved around. The stones were moved around from where they originally were. I read a story on that.
Well, a lot of them are laying down, and they move them back up again and put them. But then you've got Woodhenge, which is in direct lineage to it down an avenue. The stones are energy. Yeah, definitely. It's what Tim was saying, what we were saying earlier, and Tim made a point of it, which is true. It's the ley lines that run under them and run under those ancient pagan lands as well that the churches were built upon.
Too
There's
bad you can't
obviously
get-
they knew something was the ancients knew something was going on with this.
It'd be nice to find out if there's actually maybe some crystals in the stones too, or what kind of stone it is. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess I don't know what the crystals would be, but there's crystals everywhere, aren't there? That's
Well, yeah.
they act like diodes, don't they? So they pick up all that energy and then they absorb it.
All connected to
A
water.
lot
Yeah.
of stones,
Exactly.
a lot of the stones at Stonehenge came from North Wales.
They did. They came from the Presley Mountains, didn't they?
How
Oh,
the
really?
hell they got these big stones across from North Wales down
That's what I was wondering.
to Wiltshire or Salisbury Plain is just mind blowing.
I know. They don't even know now, do they? It's all supposition. It's
No.
all guesswork, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
so well, we think they did it this way, but did they? And the interesting thing about those stones as well is that there were villages that grew up around them, wasn't there, at one point? So people
Yeah.
lived and died next to them, you know. And also, they took their tombs. They used as tombs. Are you
I
sure you
didn't
didn't?
carry
Lynn?
it. Lynn says she didn't carry the stone.
I don't know. Lynn might be magic.
Anyway, we're coming off subjects again. We always do this, don't we?
I know, but
But,
that's, you know what? That's what happens, and that's part of the fun.
Yeah. It don't matter. It don't matter. It don't
Well,
matter.
you gotta
It don't-
remember when you come
Don't
out of
matter.
subjects, you're
But,
talking
um,
about everything that's connected. You know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is
yeah,
what
yeah.
This is what I truly believe, that everything is connected.
Oh,
That all
it
the
is.
paranormal stuff's connected.
Yeah. I've got a theory.
Because it all
I-
bleeds into one another, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I've got a theory, and I think that everything that we consider to be paranormal, ufology, whatever you want to call it, cryptids, whatever, I think that there's one energy behind it, puppeteering it all. I think there's one energy,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah,
playing
yeah.
us. For whatever reason, it's playing us.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
you're
to be
down
honest,
there.
if you know, why wouldn't you? Down the rabbit, always down the rabbit hole,
Mhm.
you know. But it's just intriguing. It's
Yes,
interesting,
Nicola.
isn't it? It's intriguing.
Yeah.
It's like, you know.
You know, they say these green children that were malnourished and they were Flemish and they were taken in by this Richard guy family, wasn't they?
Yeah.
But the thing is, if they were malnourished, it would have been commonplace in the area at the time.
I would
Other
have think,
people
everybody
would have been the same.
yeah, everybody was starving.
Yeah, of course. They were all
Yeah.
starving and hungry, and he would have recognised the language. He was an educated man.
Mm.
He would have
Yeah.
recognised the language that was Flemish.
Well, the thing is, if you think about it, the people, the lords and the ladies, and that, I mean, they came over. They came over with William the Conqueror. So these were Normans. These were French anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
so
Their origins. These people would have been French anyway. These lords,
Yeah.
these ladies, and you know, our
Yeah.
heritage is that the people that are the
Yeah.
landed gentry. Their ancestors go back to the Norman conquest. So they've
yeah.
been speaking French and Flemish. They would have recognised that. you
They would have
know?
recognised the language, but they didn't. The language was strange to them, wasn't it?
It was completely alien to, pardon the pun, but it was completely alien to
Yeah.
them. Hey, Justin.
Yeah.
And it begs the question, well, what? See, that's the thing, isn't it? You would think it's a shame because we know that they used to document things then,
Mhm.
but there doesn't seem to be any documentation relating to this story. It seems
No.
to be handed down by word of mouth,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which again makes me think this could be going back to a representation or allegories of pagan stories, because
Yeah.
those were things that you wouldn't want to write down, because you wouldn't want people getting hold of them and accusing you of, you know, I don't know, worshipping a false god or whatever, and then losing your land and because you know it was very feudal then, wasn't it? You owed your living and your life to the lord of the manor.
But there
If
had to
you
be
were seen
something.
to buck the trend and you were practicing paganism and French, the Huguenots and the Normans, they were Christian. They were all Catholics. So if you bucked that trend, you'd be in crap. So you had to go along and that's why these stories came up. I think these allegories, these stories became representations of pagan stories or pagan theories or pagan, things.
Yeah.
It's the knowing in the Druidic tribes. Yeah.
Mm.
Exactly, Justin. Exactly. There's no real record. I think they're allegory, but I think they're as an allegory, it works really well. I think it works better as an allegory than it does as a true story. But then I don't know. It could, but then there could be some sort of element of truth in it, and it could be all true. I don't know. You know,
it couldn't be that bad. I mean, maybe some of the records got lost somewhere, but 1935. I mean, if you think about it in concept of time, it isn't that long ago. We had police back then. We had records back then. You know.
Yeah, but you're going back to the 12th century, so you're going back to sort of the mid. It was a mid 1100s.
All
King
that
Stephen,
happened.
King Stephen was on the throne, so you're looking at 1,000 years. If you don't believe me,
I believe you.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't. Do you know what the world is a very wonderful and weird place,
Yep.
and we've got no idea of what makes it tick, what reality is. We've got no concept.
Well, yeah,
really
because
haven't.
reality is not real.
No, but time. I was thinking about this as well today. You know, it's like time, isn't it? Time's not real either, is it? So
No.
the thing is, if you take time as a concept, if you take that and throw that out, time represents eternity, and eternity is a snapshot. It's one moment in time that never changes, right? Because there's nothing to represent it, because time's not there. So if you take that, in effect, we're eternal because we're sitting in eternity. So through that theory, through that thought, you know, we may be eternal because we're sitting in eternity. We're sitting in that snapshot of time.
Well, that guy, I posted a video on that too, and the guy said, think of it this way: your time as a concept goes backwards and forwards. Now, can you take the moment now and just literally step from this moment to the past? No, you can't.
But time doesn't exist, does it? And the thing is that everything, if you look at it, is happening. All history is happening in the same snapshot. It's all happening at the same point, right? Because there's no time. So it's eternity. Everything's happening in that snapshot of eternity. And so if you think about that, we're sitting in eternity. So does that make us eternal?
Yeah.
Is that why we don't? Is that why we go on? Because we're actually part of eternity.
This is just your flesh.
Yeah.
It's not you. You are the energy inside of it.
And then you multiply that. You multiply that by the different dimensions.
Yep.
And all those dimensions are sitting inside the same time bubble, or the same bubble, the same eternal bubble. We're all sharing the same times, the same space, the same everything with each other. Yep. So there's no reason why we can't bleed through into each other's realities.
Yep. What he said about last night about alternate dimensions, he said, look at yourself in the mirror and just do whatever you want. You know, raise your hand to yourself like this, whatever. Like, see how I'm looking at myself on here? Now, that's not me. That could be another person on the other side of the screen.
Yeah.
Doing the same thing I'm doing.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah. When you start thinking about it like that, and to be honest, why couldn't it work like that?
It does work like that.
Yeah, but why couldn't it work like that? I mean, but people would look at that and say, no, you're fucking lunatic. What are you thinking? But what I'm trying to say is that time doesn't exist. It's a snapshot of eternity. And we share that eternity, that one moment. All history and everything that's ever gone on in the universe ever is in that microcosm. Yep. So we're all banging about together. So you can't, in effect, you've got to be eternal because you're sitting in the cradle of eternity. Because time doesn't exist, just that snapshot. You know, so to me, that would mean that we could be sharing not just different dimensions, but we could be sharing. These times could all be going on simultaneously now.
Yeah.
Do you know that every fraction of a movement that you make shifts your reality instantly?
Yeah, but think about it. All time, everything going on at the same point. So that what we think of as history is not history because it's happening now. It's happening at this point, but we can't see it or experience it. We can't experience it or see it, you know? You know, I even used to think, you know, when people used to go on about reincarnation, and I thought about it one day and I thought, well, you know, there's no reason why if you look at time, people say time's linear. Time's not linear. It doesn't exist. Time is just one thing. So there's no reason that you can't step out of this time, be reincarnated 400 years ago.
Yeah, you can. You can
Do you know what I
anything
mean?
you want.
There's no reason you can't step out of this reality and be reincarnated in the American Civil War.
Yep.
You know, because you're not
There's no
going
reason
forward.
not to.
It's just one mass. You know, but it's just, you know, you think about it, you send your mental, wouldn't it, if you keep thinking about it?
Well,
Yeah,
and that hurts
it's
a lot.
mind blowing.
But it's mind blowing, isn't it? And it's
Oh, yeah.
the more you think about it, the more credible it seems. It's like we were saying, you know, the other week Einstein said, didn't he? No matter how ridiculous or how far out there a theory is or an idea, in fact, the more ridiculous it is, the more chance you've got of being real. You know, and that's one thing that's always stuck with me, that thought, and it's amazing. And that's the thing with the children, they could very well be dimensional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
It's
We
a
just
different
don't
planet
know.
for all we know. You know what I mean?
We don't know. We don't know.
They've already proven that the same thing that you see in Stargate, there actually is Stargates. So
Yeah. I think it was Steve Meir actually was talking about. I think he was one of the first guys I ever mentioned it. I'll have to ask him next time he's on. He was talking about a footprint from a trainer that was found somewhere South America or Africa, and it was embedded in a rock. It became fossilized, and when they looked at it, they said that it was over something like 2 million years old or something. Pre-man, pre-human, pre-anything. But it was a trainer that was fossilized, the mark of a trainer.
Bloody hell.
And he said you could see the stitching around the edge as well, where it had been machine worked. How? How does that work?
Yeah.
You know?
There's lots of those things. Have you seen the where they found like a craft foot of a craft underneath a mammoth?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, there was a mammoth fossil, and underneath there was like this iron, you know, like where a craft would land on the moon, for instance.
Yeah.
It was underneath it.
Wow. Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
You'd never know, would you? You would never know. You know, you would never know.
What's Nico saying? It was
if it was Converse, I think I might know it.
Converse.
You must know a lot of people then, Nico.
Yeah.
But it just intrigues
I know.
me, doesn't it? It's like I mean, some of this stuff they're finding now, which they're finding around in Egypt, and they're talking about, all right, it's rudimentary, but they're talking about working batteries that they were using.
Yep.
Now, if they had batteries, they must have had mechanical components and things that needed to be run by those batteries.
Yeah, the Egyptians, yeah.
So,
Big time.
you know, I do think that that society gets to a certain point, and I think we're probably on the brink of it now, and collapses, and then starts over again, and then collapses, starts over again, and collapses. And I think that's what I think. That's what I believe. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but it seems like it could be. It seems like it could
possible, isn't it?
But it'd be interesting. I must try and get to the ball pit. We must try and get there at some point and have a look around there.
There's definitely going on the list.
See what was going on there, because it'd be, even if you could, I mean, even if there must be records there, whether the records go back to, we know that the people like the Lords and King Stephen and that, we know that they were real people. You know, we know that they existed.
The girl was called Agnes, wasn't she?
Agnes,
and,
Agnes.
It's. I read that there are descendants of her living there today.
Oh, really?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
it wouldn't surprise me.
Well, then it would have to, I don't know. Then you would have to be at least a match to our DNA in order to have children. So it couldn't be.
Yeah.
It was human, wasn't she? Just a different type, I guess. Just a different kind of dimension.
Mad. It's such a fascinating. What you pulled that out of the bag, Dan? That's a good one. Good one.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? It's an intriguing, interesting one.
Yeah.
I don't know. It reminds me as well. The guy from there was the guy, wasn't there? Oh, is it Tarom? Have you heard that one? The man from Tarom.
No.
Have you heard that one? There's a guy that landed. There's two actually. There's one guy who landed on a subway in New York, and he was completely bewildered, and the police picked him up. And he said, I don't come from here. I'm not from here.
Yeah.
I'm from somewhere else. And they thought, uh-oh, he's obviously gone a bit cuckoo.
Yeah.
But when they looked at the bottom of his shoes, there was no wear on the bottom of his shoes. No wear, nothing. They were as new as the day they were made. And they thought, well, that's quite unusual. So they took him away and they put him in a cell. And he went, look, I'm not meant to be here. I come from wherever it was. He said, it's not here. I just got on the train. And then when I got off, I was here. And this is not where I wanted to be. And I don't even recognize it. So anyway, put him in a cell. And then when they went to question him, he was gone from a locked cell.
Yes, Catherine, yeah.
This is why I always say and I say it jokingly, but I really do mean it. I'm a figment of my own imagination, which you are.
Yeah.
You only exist because you think you exist.
This reminds me, Dan, have you seen the film K-Pax?
Mm-hmm.
No. What's that?
It's Kevin Spacey.
I like Kevin Spacey.
And K-Pax, it's my favourite film of all time. It begins with a K, K-Pax.
K-Pax, what, as in PAX or?
K-A-P-A-X.
Yeah.
And like you just said, what you just said must be based on that, because he's picked up in a train station.
Okay.
It's an amazing film. I think it's on Prime. K-Pax on Prime.
And it's Kevin Spacey, you say?
All the way through it, you can't make out whether he's insane guy or if he's really an alien.
And then there was the other one, wasn't there? The man from Tehran who got off a plane and he came through customs, handed him his passport, and they looked at his passport and it had his flight departure was from a place called Tehran.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, Tehran? There's no Tehran? What Tehran? There's no place called Tehran. Where'd you get on? And he went, I got on the Tehran. And he didn't realise where he was. He was lost as well.
Mm.
Oh.
And again, they took him away. They questioned him. He pointed out where Tehran was, but Tehran wasn't there. It was a different part of Africa or somewhere. I can't remember where it was. It was a different part of the world, and he was adamant that was where Tehran was. And the passport was a bona fide passport.
Yeah.
And even the money in his pocket, the money in his wallet, was from Tehran.
Yep. Do you know there are certain parts of this world that you're not allowed to know that exist?
Hang on a minute. He went missing as well from a cell.
Blimey.
Disappeared from a cell. Locked cell completely. Sorry, Eric. What are you saying?
Yeah, I was saying there's some parts of this world that you're not allowed to know that exist.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. Nothing surprises me.
Mm-hmm.
And there's somebody out there. Or governing bodies and whatever. A lot damn sight more than we do. And
absolutely.
And they ain't telling, are they?
No.
It's
not to disinform you or to keep you it's to protect the country, because there's certain things that you're not allowed to know. If other countries knew, they could destroy our country or your country. You know what I mean?
It's amazing, isn't it? We can take the greatest things in the world, the most amazing ingenuity, and we would rather use it, not us, but governments would rather use it as a way of annihilating other people and dictating to other people than use it for good.
The atomic bomb,
do you know what I mean?
The atomic bomb wasn't invented to be a bomb. It was invented to be a power source, an infinite power source. That
destroyed Oppenheimer, didn't it? He was the one, didn't he? When it went off, he looked at him and he went, "I've become the destroyer of worlds."
Yep.
And that was his favourite. And it was true. Mm-hmm. It was true, But they did that with a lot of things. I remember years ago, they broke into, just after the Cold War, and they got into a warehouse, a Russian warehouse that was, I think it was on, where was it? It was, I can't remember. It was out somewhere in Siberia, tucked out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. And they got into it. I think I was talking about it the other week, and they found this, and I thought, this is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant. I'd love to go on this. And what it was a plain boat. But what it did, it travelled at amazing speeds, but it was like being on a plane, but it shot across the sea, across the oceans, but it was about 12 foot above the ocean. So at amazing speeds across the ocean, so it would take you somewhere in a very short time. And the American government said, "Oh yeah, we'll take that. We'll make sure that's all right." Next thing you know, they were utilising it for weaponry.
Yeah.
The public never saw it. And you think to yourself, but the good that you could do with stuff like that, the good that you could do with that, and the money that you utilize on stuff like that you could just utilize for the good of mankind. But no, because it's all about power, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so
That was
sweet.
it, Catherine, the man at the French airport. That was it. That was the guy.
It'd be so awesome if that was my car.
What car is it?
It's a Ford. It's a man.
Eric's gone.
The Charger.
Eric's gone. We lost him.
A big truck just pulled up alongside of my house with a Dodge Charger and a blaze
nice.
orange, and it says Carvana.com. I'm like, is that what a car?
Eric's like a magpie, isn't he?
Oh,
shiny.
I doubt it.
So what does Catherine say? So Catherine says, I consider myself a whistleblower. Hell, people have known of the existence of ET for years. So when it was brought, the response was everyone was, thank you, Sergeant, no shit. Yeah,
Catherine, yeah.
Not surprising. I don't know, 8 Charger. Nice. Love a Charger. But yeah, it's all that stuff is known about, isn't it? And it's the same with the cryptids, isn't it? It's dimension. I think it's dimension hopping.
Oh wow, yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
and same with them kids. If there's any grain of truth in it, I would say that was dimension hopping. They've come through a different dimension, through a portal or whatever, which is why people seem to go missing in the wilderness. They just walk around the corner.
I was thinking they were dimensional. If these green kids are going to go, there was deficiency with their nutrition. Well, they'd all be like it.
Yeah, and not only that, they wouldn't have lived as long if it was nutrition, and they were suffering from malnutrition. They wouldn't have lasted as long as they did. Surely,
no.
They would have died a lot younger than that, wouldn't they?
They had strange clothes on as well.
Strange clothes. Yeah, it was. Yeah, the clothing was odd as well, wasn't it? The clothing was alien to.
Yeah,
but the clothing was alien to what?
This guy, Richard D. Canold, I think he was called, or something like that.
Yeah.
Took him in. He was an educated man. He would have recognised the Flemish accent or Flemish language.
Well, yeah, because he would have been Norman, wouldn't he? He would have been French origin. He would have probably been French origin. Would he have been French himself?
They wasn't. They didn't speak Flemish. They didn't speak Flemish, did they?
No, I think it's people can't because they can't equate the idea in their head. They come up with all different scenarios to help them. It helps them deal with it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So the whistles I will happily blow may get me in trouble. But what are they going to do to me? That hasn't been done 1,000 times before. Yeah, and the thing is, Catherine, a lot more people are coming out now, aren't they?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think people have had enough of it. People have had enough of it.
I think I know who that is.
Yes, Catherine.
Yeah, but I mean,
literally, I know, bud. I know, mate. I know. We'll have to get Catherine on the show.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we need to get some guests on the show. We need to get some guests on the show, Dan and Eric, don't we?
We do need to get some guests on the show. Well, I'm hoping to get Emma on at some point so we can have a chat with
Emma,
her.
yeah, Emma's got to come on. I keep telling her. She's so shy.
Yeah.
She'll be all right. She knows us. She'll be fine with us.
I know.
She doesn't have to show her face. She can go anonymously,
No.
Be interesting to speak to Emma because she's into the paganism.
Yeah. You contact
perfect.
Catherine Murphy.
Well, Catherine, I don't know if I'm friends with you on Facebook. Dan Winter, link me and I'll accept you, and then, or I'll look whatever. I'll send you a friend request, and then
come on, guys.
We can sort something out.
Fae. We need to get some nice guests on talking about the Fae.
Yes, that'd be cool. There's one girl I'm going to get on actually who's pretty cool. She's big on the Fae, so she's very interested and very knowledgeable about the Fae. And there's an Irish fella I want to get on as well who's really into the Fae. who's very knowledgeable. So, yes. So, well, I'll get on to them.
Yeah,
But
I'll get in touch with a few people too. We'll see what we can do.
It'd be interesting to get some more different dialogue going as well, and get some people coming up with
Yeah.
some of the, other stories that maybe we haven't heard of. We'll have you on. You're more than welcome to come whenever you want. You
can come on with me. How about that?
No, Rhea's got to be a special place. She's got to be a special guest.
He's got to get her out of that. She's in the kitchen again.
I know.
No, she's in the bedroom
locked
again.
in the kitchen.
Oh,
He's got that poor woman locked in the kitchen.
she's always in the kitchen.
What are you talking about?
I
I'm the one that
pissed
cooks.
off the Faye once. I didn't mean to. Yeah, you got to be so careful with them. They're
Oh, don't piss off the
easy
Faye.
to offend. You got to be
I
so
want to hear
careful.
that story.
That's another thing that came forward. Some people thought that those children may have been changelings.
Mhm.
They
Could
thought
have
that
been.
they may have been dropped there by the Fae.
Mm.
So yeah, interesting. But yeah, so we'll definitely get other guests on and have a chat with it. But I don't know. What do you think, Eric? What are your feelings on this story?
Well, the same basically as you. I mean, I think they were either from some place that they're, wasn't known to us and came around. I mean, obviously unless they were abandoned somehow.
Yeah. I mean, I think
believe
you're the
it.
same as me, Tim, aren't you? You believe that you think it's probably if there's any relevance of truth in it, it's probably a dimensional hop or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm really bending towards interdimensional with a lot of things we're seeing.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Including ghosts.
Yeah. And it's the same with Chris. I think that's
time
exactly the
slips.
same.
I think I think if you go to I watched one last night, The Haunted Finders, and I really like that show.
Oh, they're good they are. Yeah.
You go into a place and everything's the right time and everything, and I think you slip back into time and time splits between, and it's like the stone tape theory. I'm so into that.
I do wonder with time slips.
I've written a little book about that, and I think the stone tape theory is a big thing. I think everything's interdimensional, and it's all like you said earlier. Times.
Well, yeah, if you look at it that way.
When people say they do a time slip and they go into a different time, I think that what they're actually doing is they're not going into a memory of time. They're actually going into, because that time is playing out exactly in the same space that we're in at the
right
minute.
now. Yeah.
Right now. Yeah. So we're just stepping across into a different time, which is dimensional, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So time is probably dimensional. Interdimensional. Oh, dearest sweetest, let me talk to you about the interdimensional. I know that's an interesting subject.
Like I said, get a hold of Dan, have them talk. You two talk to each other, and we'll get you on the show.
Get you on, Catherine, definitely.
Catherine, you coming on then? Catherine, let's get Catherine on.
Let's get Catherine on.
Yep.
And what I'm going to do for next week, I'm going to get Tim to pick one because Eric, you're not interested. Well, you're not interested, but you.
Yeah, there's just nothing here
God.
that I care about enough to, what I mean?
Fair enough.
I'm sorry, but.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Do you know what? There's plenty of stuff out there, isn't there? Tim?
Yeah.
There's a long, never-ending list of weird and wonderful stuff going on out there.
I haven't got anything off the top of my head, but I'll let you know.
No. It's fine. We'll just go away and have a think about it, and see what we can come up with for next week. Thanks, Sarah. Glad you enjoyed it.
Sarah.
But I will definitely take a trip to Woolpit, and I will see. I will look at the records because the records must go. I mean, the church's records go back 1,000 years. We know that much.
Somewhere
they go back 1,000 years easily because they keep it all. They've got their own sort of library, haven't they? So that'll be interesting. I'll have a look through that, and I will do a deep dive because obviously people never left the villages that they lived in. They were born, worked.
Oh wow! Yeah.
I mean, I've got family in Portland, in Dorset, that have been there for several hundred years. They've never left.
Isn't the actual village sign got the children on it?
It's got the kids on it.
It's like
I think Eric had it, didn't you, Eric?
Yeah, it's like a cutout sign. Hold on. I
It's got the
got
kids
it right
on it.
here. Oop. Yeah, it's just a little.
Oh, I thought
Yeah.
I had 2 kids. Oh, and a wolf by the church.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, because the wool pit, that's what it was, wasn't it? Where it was built on a wolf pit
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
where the wolves used to fall in.
wolf in a church.
That's it.
Mm.
Interesting. Very interesting subject.
Mm. Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'll go there and I'll dig up some history on it, and I'll report back and see what I'll tell you what I found.
Well, I got like a whole bunch of stuff. The village sign was erected in 1977. Written about 1189 and 1220 for years.
That's interesting, Catherine. Catherine says, mate, in a literal and factual way, the human race is a strongly endangered species. Get me on, I'll happily. Wouldn't surprise me one bit, Catherine.
Yeah, Catherine, come on.
Get you on. We'll get you on, Catherine. I'll sort it with you. I will sort it with you, definitely.
Come on next week.
Have a chat. Get you on, have a chat.
Mm.
So I think we wrap it up early. We always wrap it up a bit early because it comes to the subject comes to an end. And what I might do in future is I might pick 2 subjects, and run them parallel to each other. Start one and then go on to the next one, so we can get half an hour each out of each one. Or if one goes on for longer, then skip the next one over to the next week. Yeah. So we can do that. But yeah, I think that's it for tonight, guys. We are 10 minutes early finishing. But I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of the subject. Go away and have a look yourself. There's plenty of it on on YouTube. Lots and lots of information out there, and lots of stuff on Google, on the internet about it.
If you have something that you want to hear about too, let us know. Message one of us.
Yeah, definitely let us know. Let us know. So I think that's a good night from me. What about you, Tim and Eric? Good night from you too.
Sarah, thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Bless you.
Yeah.
All right.
Everything. Thanks.